The morning sun had not yet risen over the Black Forest when Dr. Ha-Won Kim's computer started beeping. The sound echoed through her small bedroom in the research station, pulling her from a deep sleep. She opened her eyes slowly, watching the snowflakes fall outside her window. "Computer, what time is it?" she asked, her voice still rough from sleep. "It is 5:30 a.m., Dr. Kim. You have an urgent message from the Global Space Center," the computer responded. Ha-Won sat up in her bed, wrapping her warm blanket around her shoulders. The research station was always cold in winter, even with the heaters running at full power. Through her window, she could see nothing but darkness and falling snow, with the tall black shapes of pine trees in the distance. "Show me the message," she said, reaching for her glasses on the bedside table. The computer screen lit up with a bright blue light. At first, Ha-Won thought she must still be dreaming. The message was unlike anything she had seen in her 15 years as a scientist. A spacecraft, not from Earth, had entered our solar system. Even more surprising, it was heading straight for the Black Forest. Ha-Won jumped out of bed, no longer feeling the cold. She quickly put on her warm winter clothes, thick socks, heavy pants, and her favorite blue sweater. Her hands were shaking as she tied her long black hair into a neat bun. "Computer, wake up Dr. Park and send him the same message," she ordered, pulling on her boots. The research station was small but modern, with just 3 full-time scientists living there. They studied the unique plants and animals of the Black Forest, especially during the winter months when the forest changed the most. Ha-Won rushed down the hallway to the main lab, her footsteps echoing on the metal floor. The lab's large windows showed the same view as her bedroom, endless darkness and falling snow. But somewhere up there, hidden behind the clouds, was a ship carrying visitors from another world. The lab door slid open, and Dr. Tae-young Park walked in, looking like he had dressed in a hurry. His usually neat black hair was sticking up on one side, and he had put his sweater on backwards. "Did you see the message?" he asked, his eyes wide with excitement. "Is it real?" "The Global Space Center has confirmed it 3 times, Ha-Won said, turning on more screens. "They're coming here, Tae-young, to our forest." "But why here?" he wondered, moving to stand beside her at the main computer. "Why not New York or Tokyo or Beijing?" Before Ha-Won could answer, all the screens in the lab suddenly turned bright green. A new message appeared, written in perfect Earth English. "Greetings, Earth scientists. We come in peace and seek to land near your research station. Our scans show it to be an ideal location for first contact. We are particularly interested in what you call winter. Please respond if you are willing to meet us." Ha-Won and Tae-young looked at each other, both hardly daring to breathe. Through the windows, the first light of dawn was starting to appear, turning the falling snow from black to pale pink. "Should we wake Young-me?" Tae-young asked, referring to their 3rd team member who studied the forest's history and culture. "Yes," Ha-Won said, already typing a response to the aliens. "I think we're all going to need to be awake for what happens next." As she pressed send on their reply, a bright light appeared in the sky above the forest. The snow seemed to glow with its reflection, turning the whole world outside into a sparkling wonderland. First contact was about to happen, right here in their quiet corner of the Black Forest, on what had started as a normal winter morning. The alien ship descended slowly through the falling snow, its silver surface reflecting the morning light. It was smaller than Ha-Won had expected, about the size of a small bus. The ship landed softly in a clearing about 50 meters from the research station, barely disturbing the fresh snow beneath it. Ha-Won, Tae-young, and Young-me stood at the station's main entrance, their breath making small clouds in the cold air. Young-me had grabbed her camera and was recording everything, her hand steady despite her excitement. "Should we walk toward them?" Tae-young whispered, adjusting his thick winter coat. Before Ha-Won could answer, a door opened in the side of the ship. It made no sound, as if the metal had simply decided to part like water. A tall figure stepped out into the snow. The alien looked almost human, except for their silvery skin that seemed to shimmer in the morning light. They wore no protective suit, despite the cold. Their eyes were large and dark, and their movements were graceful as they walked through the deep snow. "Greetings," the alien said in perfect English, their voice surprisingly warm and friendly. "I am called Jiho in your language. Thank you for allowing us to visit." Ha-Won stepped forward, her heart beating fast, but her voice steady. "Welcome to Earth. I am Dr. Ha-Won Kim. These are my colleagues, Dr. Tae-Young Park and Young Mei." Jiho looked up at the falling snow with an expression of wonder. They reached out and caught a snowflake on their hand, watching it melt. "This is fascinating," they said. "On our world, we have read about this phenomenon called winter, but we have never experienced it ourselves." Young Mei lowered her camera slightly. "You don't have winter on your planet. Our world is climate-controlled," Jiho explained. "We can adjust the temperature and weather as needed. But this," they gestured at the forest around them, where snow continued to fall silently on the dark trees. "This is natural, wild, beautiful." Two more aliens emerged from the ship, moving carefully through the snow. Jiho introduced them as members of their research team. Like Jiho, they seemed fascinated by everything around them, especially the way their feet sank into the soft snow. "Would you like to come inside?" Ha-Won offered, noticing how the aliens' bare feet left strange patterns in the snow. "We can show you our research and warm up with some hot chocolate." Jiho tilted their head slightly. "Hot chocolate. It's a traditional winter drink," Tae-Young explained with a smile. "Made from cocoa beans and milk. We drink it to stay warm." "Warm drinks to combat cold weather," one of the other aliens said, making notes on a device that looked like a thin piece of glass. Fascinating adaptation. As they walked toward the station, a strong gust of wind blew through the trees, sending a shower of snow down from the branches. The aliens stopped walking and stared up in amazement. "The way it moves," Jiho said quietly. "So unpredictable. So free." They turned to Ha-Won with an unexpected request. "Dr. Kim, we came here hoping to learn about your science and technology. But now I have a different wish. Could you teach us about winter? Not just the science, but how humans experience it. The drinks, the activities, the feelings it creates." Ha-Won looked at her colleagues, seeing her own surprise reflected in their faces. Of all the things they had prepared for first contact with an alien species, teaching them about winter fun had not been on the list. "We would be happy to," she said finally, smiling as another snowflake landed on Jiho's silvery face. "In fact, I think this might be the most important research we've ever done." As they entered the warm station, Young Mei was already making plans. "We should start with snow angels," she said enthusiastically. "Or maybe building a snowman first." The aliens followed them inside, leaving their strange footprints in the snow behind them. Above, the winter sky had cleared to a perfect bright blue, promising a day unlike any other in human history. Inside the research station's kitchen, Ha-Won carefully stirred the hot chocolate, adding extra marshmallows to each mug. The three aliens watched with great interest as the small white squares slowly melted into the dark liquid. "The chemical reaction is quite simple," Tae-Young began to explain, but Young Mei gently touched his arm. "Let them experience it first," she said softly. "Science can come later." Jiho picked up their mug with careful hands, copying the way the humans held theirs. The other two aliens, who had chosen the Earth names Sun-Ho and Mai-Ray, did the same. They all took small sips at the same time. Their reactions were immediate. Jiho's large eyes grew even wider, and a slight glow appeared under their silvery skin. "This sensation," they said, "the warmth spreading inside, it is extraordinary." "The sweetness," Mai-Ray added, taking another sip. "We have nothing like this on our world." After finishing their hot chocolate, the group prepared to go outside again. Ha-Won and her colleagues helped the aliens put on spare winter clothes from the station's storage. The sight of the sophisticated beings struggling with zipper jackets and wool hats made everyone laugh. "Now," Mai said once they were all bundled up, "we will show you something very important about winter. We call it a snowball fight." She bent down, gathered some snow in her hands, and showed the aliens how to pack it into a ball. The visitors were fascinated by how the snow could change shape under pressure. "But why do we fight with it?" Sunho asked, holding their perfectly round snowball with concern. "It's not a real fight," Taeyum explained, grinning. "It's a game. Watch." He threw a soft snowball at Hawon, who laughed as it hit her shoulder and broke apart. The aliens watched in amazement as the humans began a playful exchange of snowballs. Soon, the clearing was filled with flying snow and happy shouts. The aliens learned quickly, though their throws were incredibly gentle at first. Jiho showed surprising skill at dodging, their movements smooth and dance-like in the snow. "This is both combat training and social bonding," Myray observed, ducking behind a tree. "Brilliant." After the snowball fight, Mai taught them how to make snow angels. The aliens lay down in the fresh snow with some hesitation, but soon they were moving their arms and legs with enthusiasm. "Look at the patterns we create," Jiho said, standing up carefully to observe their snow angel. Simple movements making beautiful designs. The morning passed quickly as they moved from one winter activity to another. They built a snowman, complete with a carrot nose and button eyes. The aliens were particularly impressed by how humans had turned such basic materials into art. "On our world," Sunho explained while adding small twigs for the snowman's arms, "all our art is digital or molecular. We shape atoms and energy. But this is creating beauty from frozen water. It will not last forever, yet that makes it more special." As the winter sun climbed higher in the sky, Hawon noticed something remarkable. The alien's silvery skin had started to take on a slight blue tint, matching the winter sky above them. When she mentioned this, Jiho nodded. "We adapt to our surroundings," they explained. "Our bodies are connecting to this place, to this season. We are becoming part of winter." May, who had been recording everything, lowered her camera. "That's exactly what winter does to all of us," she said. "It changes us, even if just for a little while." The group stood quietly in the snow, watching their breath make clouds in the cold air. The forest around them was peaceful, the dark trees dusted with white. In this moment, the differences between humans and aliens seemed very small compared to their shared joy in the simple pleasures of a winter's day. After their morning of winter activities, May suggested showing their visitors more of the Black Forest. The group walked along a cleared path that wound between the tall pine trees. The afternoon sun filtered through the branches, making the snow sparkle. "Our research station monitors the forest's ecosystem," Hawon explained as they walked. "We study how the plants and animals adapt to the changing seasons." Jiho stopped suddenly, their silver-blue skin glowing brighter. The alien pulled out their glass-like device and held it up. "I am detecting unusual energy patterns," they said. "They are coming from that direction." They pointed to an area off the main path. Taeyum checked his tablet. "That's strange. There shouldn't be any equipment in that sector." The group carefully made their way through the deep snow, following Jiho's readings. After several minutes, they came to a small clearing. There, half buried in snow, stood an old stone structure. "This is a shrine," Mai said with surprise. "But it's not in any of our records." The shrine was simple but beautiful. It was made of dark stone, with strange symbols carved into its surface. Snow had collected on its peaked roof, and icicles hung from its edges like crystal decorations. Mirai approached the shrine, their device making soft humming sounds. "These symbols," they said quietly, "they are similar to our ancient writing system." The humans gathered closer, brushing away snow to reveal more of the carvings. Sunho joined them, using their device to scan the symbols. "This is impossible," Sunho said. "These patterns match records from our world's earliest civilization. records that are 50,000 years old. Hei-Wan felt her heart beating faster. Are you saying there's a connection between your civilization and Earth? Jai-Ho touched one of the symbols gently. As their hand made contact, the carvings began to glow with a soft blue light. The snow around the shrine melted in a perfect circle, revealing more symbols on the ground. The shrine is powered by geothermal energy, Tae-Young said, checking his instruments. That's why we never detected it. It blends perfectly with the forest's natural heat patterns. Young Mei was taking photographs of every symbol. The design suggests it was built to last for thousands of years, she said. But who built it? And why here? Jai-Ho's device projected a hologram showing similar symbols from their world. The match was exact. Our ancestors spoke of teachers from the stars. They said, beings who taught us about science and art. But those stories were considered myths. The afternoon light was starting to fade, and the temperature was dropping. But no one wanted to leave. The shrine stood before them, a mystery that connected two worlds across the vastness of space. Look at this symbol, Hei-Wan said, pointing to a large carving near the base. It shows a snowflake. The symbol was intricate, showing a perfect six-sided snowflake pattern. Next to it were more symbols that, according to Jai-Ho's translations, spoke of cycles, seasons, and change. Perhaps winter itself is the connection, Young Mei suggested, a force that shapes life on both our worlds, even if your planet no longer experiences it naturally. As they stood around the shrine, snow began to fall again. The flakes danced in the fading light, settling on human and alien shoulders alike. The shrine's soft blue glow seemed to pulse in rhythm with the falling snow, as if responding to winter's touch. We must study this further, Mei said, their voice full of wonder. With your permission, we would like to extend our stay. Hei-Wan looked at her colleagues, who nodded in agreement. This discovery would change everything they thought they knew about Earth's history and humanity's place in the universe. The group returned to the research station as evening approached. The discovery of the shrine had raised many questions, and they gathered in the station's warm living room to share what they knew. Outside, the snow continued to fall in the growing darkness. Young Mei had brought out her collection of books about Black Forest folklore. She sat in a comfortable chair near the fireplace, while the others formed a circle around her. The soft light from the fire made the alien's silvery blue skin glow gently. In the Black Forest, Young Mei began, opening one of her oldest books. Winter has always been a magical time. The old stories tell us that when snow covers the ground, the barrier between worlds becomes thinner. Jai-Ho leaned forward with interest. On our world, we have similar stories. Our ancestors spoke of the time of stillness, when stars would send messages through the cold. Young Mei carefully turned the pages of her book, showing illustrations of winter spirits and ancient ceremonies. Here, people believed that the first snowfall of winter carried special power. They would collect the snow and keep it in special containers, thinking it could heal illnesses. We also preserved the first frost, Mei said quietly. Our historical records show containers very much like these in your book. They projected a hologram showing similar vessels from their world. Hei-Wan and Tae-Young exchanged surprised looks. The similarities were becoming too strong to ignore. There is more, Sun-Ho added, their voice soft with wonder. Our oldest stories tell of teachers who came during the time of stillness. They taught us to read the patterns in ice crystals. These patterns became the basis of our writing system. Young Mei quickly flipped through another book until she found what she was looking for. Look at this, she said, showing them an ancient drawing. It showed people in strange clothes teaching others how to write using patterns that looked like snowflakes. The room grew quiet as everyone considered what this meant. The fire crackled softly, and through the windows, they could see the snow glowing in the darkness outside. In our culture, Hei-Wan said, breaking the silence, we have a tradition of telling stories on winter nights. When the world is dark and cold outside, we gather together and share tales of hope and wonder. Jaiho's eyes sparkled in the firelight. "We would be honored if you would share such a story with us." Young-mi smiled and chose another book. This one was newer, with bright pictures of winter scenes. "This is a story my grandmother used to tell me," she said. "It's about a child who learned to speak with snow crystals." As Young-mi read, the aliens listened with complete attention. The story told of a young girl who discovered that each snowflake carried a message from the stars. She learned to read these messages and used them to help her village during a difficult winter. When the story was finished, Sunho spoke softly. "This is remarkably similar to the tale of first communication in our world. A child who understood the language of ice and taught others to read it." The implications were clear. Both civilizations shared not just similar winter stories, but nearly identical ones. The shrine in the forest was physical proof of an ancient connection between their worlds. "Perhaps," Taeyang suggested, "these are not just stories. Perhaps they are memories, passed down through generations, of a time when our peoples were connected through winter's magic." Outside, the snow fell more heavily, as if nature itself was confirming their theories. The Black Forest kept its ancient secrets, but now, finally, those secrets were beginning to emerge from beneath the winter snow. The weather changed quickly in the Black Forest. As night approached, the gentle snowfall turned into a fierce storm. The wind howled around the research station, and the snow fell so heavily that the forest disappeared behind a white wall. "Our instruments show this storm will last several hours," Taeyang said, checking the weather monitors. "It would be unsafe for anyone to leave now." Jaiho and the other aliens stood at the large window, watching the storm with fascination. "The raw power of your weather is remarkable," Jaiho said. "On our world, such natural forces are only found in historical records." Haewon brought more hot chocolate for everyone. "We should use this time to share more information," she suggested. "You mentioned that you have records of your planet's winter season." Mayray nodded and took out their projection device. With a gentle wave of their hand, the living room filled with three-dimensional images of their world. The humans gasped at the sight. The hologram showed vast cities built of crystal-like materials that seemed to grow from the ground. Above these cities, the sky was filled with swirling patterns of light and color. But what caught everyone's attention was the snow. "This is how our world looked 50,000 years ago," Sunho explained. "The snow on our planet contained trace elements that made it glow in different colors: blue for gentle storms, green for heavy snowfall, and purple for the rare perfect snowflakes that our scientists studied." The images changed to show people gathering this glowing snow in containers similar to those in Young-mi's folklore books. These ancient ancestors of the aliens looked different from Jaiho and the others, their skin more crystalline than metallic. "The great change happened slowly," Mayray continued. "As our technology advanced, we began to control our climate. The natural winters faded. The glowing snow became a memory, then a legend. A particularly strong gust of wind shook the research station. The lights flickered once, making the hologram images dance on the walls. But look at this, Jaiho said, adjusting the projection. New images appeared, showing complex patterns found in their ancient snow crystals. These formations match exactly with the symbols we found on the shrine today. Taeyang had been quietly analyzing data on his tablet. The storm is affecting the shrine, he announced. Its energy readings are growing stronger with each passing minute. Young-mi hurried to the window with her camera. Despite the darkness and heavy snow, they could see a faint blue glow in the distance where the shrine stood. It's responding to the storm, Haewon realized. Just like in the old stories, when winter's power was strongest during storms. The aliens shared a meaningful look. "There is something else we should show you," Jaiho said. They adjusted their projection one more time. The new image showed a map of their planet from 50,000 years ago. Scattered across the surface were hundreds of points of light, each marking the location of a shrine identical to the one they had found in the Black Forest. They formed a network, Sunho explained. Our scientists believe they were used to communicate across great distances, using the natural energy of winter storms as power. The storm outside grew stronger, and the shrine's glow brightened in response. In the research station, surrounded by the howling wind and swirling snow, humans and aliens watched as ancient technology awakened, bridging the gap between their worlds once more. The storm reached its peak at midnight. The shrine's blue glow had grown so bright that it illuminated the falling snow, creating a column of light that reached into the dark sky. Inside the research station, both humans and aliens watched in silent wonder. Suddenly, Tai Yung's instruments began recording new data. "The shrine is receiving signals," he announced, his voice filled with excitement. "They're coming from multiple locations around the Earth." Jai-Ho and Mei-Ray quickly checked their own devices. "We are detecting similar shrines activating across your planet," Mei-Ray confirmed. "They form a pattern identical to the one on our world." Yum-Me spread out a world map on the table. As they watched, Sun-Ho used their hologram device to mark the locations of the active shrines. They appeared in forests, on mountains, and in remote valleys, all places where winter held special power. "The shrines were never meant to be found until both our peoples were ready," Jai-Ho said softly. "They waited for the day when we would rediscover natural winter, and when humans had advanced enough to understand their purpose." Ha-Won studied the map carefully. "Look at the locations," she said. "Every shrine is in a place where ancient cultures had strong winter traditions, places where people celebrated the snow and ice." The storm outside grew quieter, and as it did, the shrine began to transmit data. Tai Yung's screens filled with information, not in human or alien language, but in patterns that looked like intricate snowflakes. "These are messages," Sun-Ho explained, their silver-blue skin glowing with excitement, "left by the Ancient Ones, the civilization that built the shrines. They were master travelers who found worlds with special connections to winter." Mei-Ray's device projected the translated messages into the air. The Ancient Ones had been a race of beings who understood that winter was more than just a season. It was a force that shaped life, encouraged adaptation, and taught important lessons about survival and change. "They built the shrines to preserve winter's power," Jai-Ho read from the translation. "They knew that as civilizations advanced, they might try to control their climate, as our people did. The shrines were meant to remind us of winter's importance." Yum-Me looked up from her camera. "The folklore, the similar stories on both our worlds, they weren't just coincidence. The Ancient Ones taught our ancestors to respect and learn from winter." The messages continued to flow from the shrine. They contained scientific knowledge about weather patterns, climate systems, and the delicate balance of nature. But they also held something more: wisdom about the importance of maintaining connections with the natural world. "Our people lost their way," Sun-Ho said quietly. "We thought we were advancing by controlling our environment, but we lost something precious. We lost winter's lessons about change and renewal." Ha-Won watched the snowflakes falling outside, gentler now as the storm began to pass. "Perhaps that's why you were drawn to our forest," she suggested. "The shrine was calling you back to winter." As if in response to her words, the shrine's glow pulsed once more, sending out a final message. This one was simple, written in both human and alien script. "Winter is a bridge between worlds. Learn its lessons together." The humans and aliens stood in silence, understanding at last the true purpose of their meeting. They were meant to help each other, humans sharing their living connection to winter, and the aliens sharing their advanced knowledge of the universe. Outside, the storm clouds began to clear, revealing a sky filled with stars. The shrine's glow faded to a soft shimmer, its message delivered after 50,000 years of waiting. The morning after the storm brought a transformed black forest. Fresh snow covered everything in a perfect white blanket, and the rising sun made the world sparkle. At the research station, humans and aliens gathered for an important meeting. After discussing with our leaders, Jai-Ho announced, "We would like to establish a permanent cultural exchange program here at this station." Their silver-blue skin gleamed in the morning light streaming through the windows. Ha-1, who had been up most of the night communicating with the Global Science Center, smiled. Earth's scientific community fully supports this proposal. This location will serve as the first official meeting point between our civilizations. The shrine, now peaceful under its coating of new snow, had become the center of intense scientific interest. Research teams from both worlds would soon arrive to study its ancient technology. However, Young Mei had suggested something more important for their first official project. Before we focus on the technology, she said, we should document and preserve winter traditions from both our worlds. The Ancient Ones wanted us to understand winter's importance. We should honor that wish. Tai Young had already begun setting up new monitoring equipment around the station. We can combine our scientific studies of winter weather with cultural research, he explained, understanding how winter shapes both the environment and the beings who live in it. Mai Rei and Sun Ho were particularly excited about this approach. They had spent the early morning hours simply watching the forest wake up, fascinated by how the animals and plants adapted to the snow. On our world, Mai Rei said, we will begin the process of restoring natural winter zones, small areas at first, where our people can experience the changing seasons as nature intended. The group walked together to the shrine, their feet making fresh tracks in the new snow. The ancient structure stood silent now, its work of bringing their peoples together complete. But its presence served as a reminder of their shared heritage and responsibility. We should mark this moment, Young Miss suggested. She showed the aliens how to gather clean snow in their hands. Following her example, everyone formed a circle around the shrine. In the old traditions of the Black Forest, she explained, people would make wishes on the first snow after a great storm. They believed these wishes had special power. Together, they released their handfuls of snow over the shrine. The crystals caught the sunlight as they fell, creating tiny rainbows in the air. It was a simple ceremony, but it felt right. A perfect blend of both worlds' respect for winter's magic. Later that day, as the sun began to set, more ships arrived carrying scientists and cultural experts from both civilizations. The small research station quickly became a center of activity and discovery. But amid all the excitement, Ha-1 noticed Jai-Ho standing quietly by the window, watching more snow begin to fall. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, joining them. "About how a simple thing like snow brought our peoples together," Jai-Ho replied. The Ancient Ones were wise. They knew that understanding winter, its beauty and challenges, its lessons about change and adaptation, would help us understand each other. Outside, the new arrivals were experiencing Earth's winter for the first time. Their joy and wonder echoed the same feelings Jai-Ho and the others had shown just one day earlier. The Black Forest had become a classroom where two civilizations could learn from each other, all thanks to the timeless magic of a winter's day.